procedure setup time savers. Import input map. It's now possible to import an input mapping for one or more modules that are saved as a resource. So if you go to the gear in the input editor heading, you can import an input map. Ones that I've saved previously are shown here on the left. For example, if I wanted a setup for a double banana, I could choose that. It'll show me here on the 32 channel amplifier what inputs are included, and I can say import. It's going to ask me if I want to overwrite whatever is already in the amplifier, and I'll say yes. Just like modes or cursor setups, these can be saved and used as building blocks to create the desired procedure setup. In channel setup, you can do something similar. You can export your channel montage or import it. So for example, with the 32 channel amplifier, we'll go back to our setup and import that. It'll ask me if I want to overwrite, and I'll say yes, confirm that. And there's all of my channels. Another feature that's now available for procedure setup is the head display. So if you click on the brain icon, it's going to change to an anatomical 1020 setup. You can use the montage drop-down menu here to move to a 1010. And the color-coded legend here will tell you which inputs are assigned to which amplifier. You can select a device, for example, the 32 channel amplifier, and click on the sites here to populate your input editor over on the left. The referential amplifiers found in the cortical module and the 32 channel amplifier can now also be configured as bipolar or referential. For example, with our 32 channel amplifier, if I change this to referential, all of my inputs, all of my active inputs will be referenced to a singular reference that I choose. And I can click on it and use the drop-down menu to choose a different input. Of course, I can't have the same input as the active and the reference, so I could either reference T3 to something else here, or simply right-click and delete the channel. Now I'm going to move on to advanced stimulation paradigms. Mode setup stimulus settings have been overhauled for Cascade IOMX to take advantage of its unique precision timing capabilities. IOMX hardware supports simultaneous stimulation of up to 4 extremities, which could be useful for MEP facilitation. In MEP mode setup, I've added 4 simultaneous stimuli coming from the extremities, which requires use of 4 individual limb modules. You can see here that I have 4 peripheral stimulators, followed by transcranial stimulation. This was configured by adding or choosing Add Stimulus and then creating the next stimulation. You'll also see that between each stimulus, you can choose the interstimulus intertrain interval. And if it's 0 from the end of the previous stimulus, then they'll all be started at the same time. You can also see this graphically by expanding the graphical display to show that at the start of the sweep, I have a single pulse from 4 different stimulators at 4 extremities, a 50 millisecond ISI, and then my 5 pulse train from the TCS. When a latency or amplitude shift is observed, users can adjust the cursor to the new latency, and the cursor midpoint is automatically adjusted. In previous versions, users had to right-click and adjust cursor midpoint, but this is no longer necessary. Also, cursor alerts now apply only to latency increases and amplitude decreases. EMG Associate comment. Users can choose to have the event log displayed for EMG mode. Go to EMG mode setup navigate to Associate Comment, and choose Never, On Threshold Detection, or On Stored Trial. If I choose On Stored Trial and say OK, and my EMG is running, when I store the trials, I'm going to get an Add User event from the event log. If I say EMG activity, it'll be added to my event log. In EP mode controls, which I've accessed the left median by double-clicking in the trace window, users will notice a new icon here for Continue Average Count. You can click on this to temporarily increase the current average count, such as in situations where excessive noise is present. For example, with the left median SSEP, I'm set with an average count of 200. If I increase the average count or add to the average count by clicking the icon, my average count goes to 400. If I go ahead and store the trial, the next one will go back to 200, which is how my average count is set in my mode. Stimulus artifact can be removed from EMG or EMG and EP mode trace windows and audio. If I run my left median SSEP, you'll see that I have stimulus artifact in my left APB EMG recording. If I right-click in my left median SSEP and go to Mode Setup, I can go down here to General Settings and remove Stimulus Artifact. I'm going to remove it from this mode and EMG mode. I might need to adjust the Stimulus Artifact duration, which I can do here in the Mode Setup or in the left median SSEP mode control. I'll say OK. I also need to remove it from my EMG mode. So I'll go to my mode setup and allow removal of stim artifact. The EMG starts again, and when I start my left median SCP, I can still see it, so I'm going to adjust my duration. Here in my mode control, I'm set to 1.5 milliseconds. Let's try that at 3. And try that at 5, where it's reduced, but not completely gone. So I can increase that a little bit more. And there it's removed both visually and auditorily from EMG, and is also removed from the SSEP window or the trace as well. Trace or trial-specific comments. Comments can be added to a specific trial or individual trace. Simply right-click on a stored waveform and choose Add Trace Event or Add Trial Event. The corresponding event log entry for a trace event will be annotated with the mode and channel name. You can see the mode and channel name here in the event log comment. A trial event will be annotated with the mode name only. Which you can see here in the event log. Trace and trial events will be displayed on the waterfall like any other event if Show Events is selected under Waterfall Labels. Several features and capabilities have been added to the event log. Event log priority is now supported. Going to the Settings gear in the event log header, you can choose to filter by low, medium, medium high, and high priority events. To create priorities, go to Site-wide Settings on the Start screen. Event Author is also captured in Surgical Studio, as reviewers and recorders can both enter events. Whether or not to show the author column is an option, which you can select here. You also have the possibility for an event log search by clicking this button, which opens up an event search box. So if I typed in EMG activity, it would bring up all of the events that were associated with that, or for example, left median SSEP. Whether or not the priority, search, or author column are shown are all available here in the settings gear. You can also, as a reminder, use the event type filter to choose what type of events are displayed on the event log. Lastly, when baselines are sent, an event will automatically be added to the event log according to the time of the stored trial. Whether or not that's displayed in the event log is an event type filter. So if I choose baseline events, I can see here when my baselines were set for each of my modalities.